Welcome to Blue Collar Compendium. This week I built a playroom shelf. The area in the playroom which my wife requested a shelf has a small alcove. She didn't have a preference on the construction or design as long as it didn't look bad, and so I coaxed her into believing I had all the material on hand to accomplish the task, which was a slight exaggeration by about $100 worth. Setting up my garage to support a project like this often takes a while. I'd like to build myself a mobile workstation at some point to make future projects easier, so if you have any suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Keep in mind, my garage is a do-all type, so I can't have anything too bulky. The table saw I'm using was given to me by a close friend, and while it's more of a construction job type saw, I use the heck out of it. I wanted the design to be a thin shelf which could still support more weight than it appears that it could hold. I could have done a floating shelf, but I wanted something with a little bit more style. Like I said, it's just a shelf. First, I ripped down a piece of melamine to the correct thickness, ensuring I protect the finished edges with painter's tape. I did have some scrap pieces of oak and a piece of melamine shelf material that was about 8 foot in length, which formed the basis of the shelf. Next, I cut a test piece to check the fit against the wall. I find out that it's about 3 degrees outside of 90. Now that I know the correct angle, I next mark the taper on each side of the shelf to ensure it has a proper fit in the alcove, with no more than a 1/16 of an inch gap. I didn't show it, but I cut another piece of melamine scrap to the correct angle in order to check my saw setup and verify my cut angle against the wall. If you have extra scrap material you're using, and you don't do this every day for a living, I recommend always doing test cuts and fitment checks. It takes longer, but the end result's worth it. So you missed me cutting these oak scraps into a taper and sanding them down. I'm not sure what happened. I think that either the camera went dead or it became unplugged or something like that. But either way, sorry about that. Here is the product just before I applied the finish. I had ulterior motives for this stain as it's one of my favorite products from General Finishes. To that point, I use it on just about every one of my projects because I like the color so much. And before you ask, no, I'm not sponsored by them. To apply the finish, I use an old cut-up t-shirt. I could put a protective finish over the supports, but I like the matte finish of these and I know that I won't see much moisture, so I decided against it. The supports not only look great, but they add much needed strength to the design. I had to buy a piece of pre-finished 1x4 pine, some hole plugs, white screws, and General Finishes Java stain. Here I cut the 1x4 to length before ripping it down to the correct width. Again, I use my supports as a guide to set the width of the table saw. I subtract the width of 2 supports before dividing the base by 3 so that I can equally space the remaining supports, ensuring an aesthetically pleasing look with good strength to thickness ratio. I countersink all the mounting screws for the supports to ensure the base sits flush against the wall. I wanted to dress up the screws needed to mount the base to the wall, while still aligning with the wall studs as best as possible. The result is a few faux mounting hose, which I could have then inserted drywall anchors, however I didn't think the juice was worth the squeeze for the added strength. I used some pre-made plugs to fill the mounting holes, which I used Java stain to ensure they match the supports. From here, all the pieces were finished. I was rushed to get the shelf up so that I could get the garage cleaned up for my next project, so unfortunately I didn't film the install. However, I used my tape measure to set the height, and then I took my 4-foot level to place a witness line, matching the base to it so that I could then mount it level. Then I used 3-inch number 10 structural fasteners to fix the base to the wall. Once the base was set, I screwed the 2 end supports to the wall in the same fashion. Last, I placed a melamine shelf on top of the supports and countersunk a few 1-inch screws into the supports so that I could ensure that it didn't move. I hope you guys liked the result. I enjoy coming up with unique solutions to fit my needs. While it does take longer and sometimes cost more, I like the end result better than a generic store-bought solution. As always, thanks for watching.